I'm Cindy. 6 months ago, I was sitting in my transformed condo with my cat Mimi purring on my lap and a lopsided pottery bowl on the counter. Marcus was in the kitchen making dinner while humming off key. It was a scene of contentment, a far cry from the chaos that had erupted on my birthday. On the morning of my birthday, I woke up to a text from my fiancé, Ethan. It read, "Cindy, I can't do this anymore. I've been wanting to end things for weeks, but didn't know how to tell you. This isn't working and I don't think we should get married. You deserve someone who's all in and I'm not. I'm sorry this is over text, but I thought it would be easier for both of us. Take care." I sat there in bed, the weight of those 34 words hitting me like a ton of bricks. But instead of the breakdown I expected, I felt a strange sense of clarity. All the signs I'd been ignoring over the past 8 months suddenly made sense. Ethan and I had met 4 years ago at a tech industry mixer. I was 25, fresh out of college and eager to make my mark in the Seattle tech scene. Ethan was 31, a sales manager at a software company. He was tall, with sandy, blonde hair and a sharp jawline. He approached me at the open bar with a cheesy pickup line about how project managers were like magicians who could make anything happen. I should have walked away, but his smile was infectious, and I was tired of the dating apps that never led anywhere. Our first date was at an Italian restaurant. He ordered for both of us, and somehow, he picked exactly what I would have chosen. He was charming, ambitious, and seemed genuinely interested in my work. Over the next 3 years, our relationship was picture perfect. We took weekend trips to wine country, attended holiday parties, and spent Sunday mornings planning our future. We got engaged on our 3rd anniversary in Hawaii. He proposed on the beach at sunset, with a mariachi band playing in the background. I was over the moon and said yes before he'd even finished the question. We set a wedding date for October, a month that seemed perfect with its beautiful fall weather. I was meticulous in planning our wedding. I created spreadsheets, color-coded vendor contacts, and revised the seating chart 17 times. My mother, who was the top socialite, was thrilled about the wedding and bought her dress within 2 weeks. It was a designer gown that cost a fortune. Ethan's parents, on the other hand, were more reserved. His father was a no-nonsense businessman, and his mother was a kind but traditional woman. They flew in from New York to meet my family, and the dinner was filled with tension as his father made snide remarks about the laid-back Seattle lifestyle. But about 8 months before the wedding, things started to change. Ethan began coming home later from work, often citing client dinners and big deals. He used to be so chatty about his work, but suddenly, he became evasive. When I asked about his day, he'd give me vague answers like, "Same old stuff. You know how sales is." Then came his sudden obsession with the gym. He started working out 5 days a week at 6 a.m. and sometimes went for a second session after work. He bought new cologne and started wearing tighter shirts. One Saturday morning, when I suggested we work out together like we used to, he brushed me off, saying his training schedule was too intense. Around 6 months before my birthday, he changed his phone password, without telling me. When I accidentally picked up his phone to check the time, and it asked for a passcode, he got defensive. He said his company was implementing new security protocols, but I noticed he started keeping his phone face down and would leave the room to take calls. Our physical intimacy also started to fade. We went from sleeping tangled together to maintaining a careful distance on opposite sides of the bed. When I tried to initiate anything, he'd claim exhaustion or the stress of wedding planning. 3 months before my birthday, we had a final venue walk through at a beautiful waterfront resort. Ethan had promised to be there, but he showed up 45 minutes late. He didn't apologize and spent most of the walk through on his phone. When it came time to make decisions about the menu and the layout, he was completely disinterested, leaving all the choices to me. That night, I confronted him in our condo. I told him how hurt I was that he wasn't participating in our wedding planning. He shrugged it off, saying that the whole wedding was my thing, and he was just there to say, "I do." I was shocked and suggested that maybe we shouldn't get married. To my horror, he just shrugged and said, "Maybe we shouldn't." The week before my birthday, Ethan's behavior became even more erratic. He was jumpy, distracted, and would start sentences and then trail off. He kept making cryptic comments that I thought were about wedding planning, but looking back, I realized he was building an exit strategy. On the night before my birthday, I took the afternoon off work to get my nails done and pick up ingredients for a special dinner. Ethan texted me, saying he had to work late for a big presentation. I believed him, even though I'd heard that excuse dozens of times before. I ordered takeout and ate alone on the couch with Mimi by my side. The next morning, when I opened his text, I knew my life was about to change. I got out of bed, walked to the kitchen, and made coffee in my favorite mug. As the coffee brewed, I analyzed the text, seeing through his excuses. I typed okay and sent it, then blocked him on every social media platform. I deleted every photo of us together and removed his name from my emergency contacts. My phone started ringing immediately. It was Ethan calling from different numbers. I declined every call. At 7:30, my best friend Lily called. She was excited to take me out for brunch, but I told her that Ethan and I had broken up. She was shocked, but immediately offered to come over. I got dressed for work, putting on my professional clothes and doing my makeup carefully. I arrived at the office and tried to focus on my projects. My coworkers wished me a happy birthday, and my boss gave me a gift card. But lunch was the hardest part. The office manager had organized a birthday celebration with cupcakes, and everyone sang to me. I forced a smile and blew out the candle, but inside, I was seething with anger. Lily picked me up for brunch, and I told her everything. She listened intently, her jaw tightening with each detail. She said that Ethan had been planning this for months and probably had someone else lined up. I took a long sip of my mimosa and said that I didn't even care anymore. If he was that much of a coward, I dodged a bullet. Over the next few days, Ethan kept trying to contact me. He showed up at my door on the third day, looking like he hadn't slept in days. He was holding a bouquet of wilted carnations and was shaking with desperation. He begged me to talk to him, but I just watched him through the peephole and said nothing. He also showed up at my workplace, causing a scene. He was escorted out by security, and word spread through the office quickly. Lily later told me that Ethan had been calling everyone we knew, trying to get information about me. He'd revealed that he'd been having an affair with a 22-year-old coworker named Emily, and it had started around 8 months ago, right when he'd started acting differently. Canceling the wedding was surprisingly easy. The venue coordinator was sympathetic and refunded my $15,000 non-refundable deposit. Most of the other vendors were also understanding. I sold my wedding dress and sent cancellation notices to all 150 guests. My mother was furious, scolding me for ruining her plans and embarrassing her in front of her friends. I blocked her number, at least temporarily. 6 weeks after the breakup, I went on my first date since Ethan. His name was Marcus. I'd met him at a tech conference. He was kind, intelligent, and genuinely interested in me. We had a great time at the bar, talking about our work, our hobbies, and our dreams. When he asked me if I wanted to go out again, I said yes. 3 months after the breakup, I saw Ethan one final time at a mutual friend's wedding. He looked terrible, gaunt, and exhausted. When he saw me with Marcus, his face crumpled for a second. I didn't look at him again and focused on enjoying the evening with Marcus. 4 months after the breakup, I got promoted to senior project manager. My boss said that she'd been impressed with how I'd handled the difficult situation in my personal life with grace. I used part of my raise to transform my condo. I bought bold modern art, filled the place with plants, and replaced Ethan's boring furniture with pieces I actually loved. Marcus and I started taking pottery classes together. My first bowl was lopsided, but I loved it because it was a symbol of my new beginning. I'd learned that Ethan's desperation had nothing to do with losing me. It was about losing the version of himself that my presence had allowed him to believe in. 6 months later, I was in a better place than I'd ever been. I'd built a life that was full, authentic, and mine. Ethan's absence was a relief, not a wound. And every time I saw that lopsided pottery bowl on my kitchen counter, I felt grateful for the clarity that his cowardly text had given me. It was the greatest gift he'd ever given me, even though he'd meant it as an ending.